Welcome back to History Facts channel, where we explore the untold stories of history. Today, we delve into a chilling yet fascinating event, the last execution by guillotine in France. Most people associate the guillotine with the French Revolution, a symbol of justice, and, some argue, brutality. But did you know that the last official guillotine execution took place in 1977? That's right, this iconic instrument of death was in use well into the 20th century. So grab a seat as we unravel the story behind the guillotine, its infamous legacy, and the circumstances of its final act. The guillotine was invented in the late 18th century during the French Revolution. Designed as a more humane method of execution, it aimed to provide a quick and painless death. The French physician Joseph-Ignace Guillotine proposed its use in 1789, advocating for a method that would be equal for all, no matter one's social standing. The guillotine quickly became synonymous with revolutionary justice. It was used to execute thousands, including King Louis XVI and Queen Marie Antoinette, as well as countless political prisoners. The device's sharp blade and public nature made it both a tool of terror and a spectacle for crowds. Throughout the 19th century, the guillotine remained the primary method of execution in France, and even as the revolution faded, its notoriety grew. While many countries abandoned capital punishment, France continued its grim tradition. The guillotine became a symbol of the state's power and the dark side of revolutionary ideals. As the 20th century approached, attitudes toward capital punishment began to shift dramatically. The horrors of two world wars and the rise of human rights movements led many to question the ethics of the death penalty itself. In France, this was particularly evident in the post-war period. By the 1960s, public opinion had begun to sway against capital punishment. Influential voices in literature, philosophy, and politics advocated for its abolition, arguing that it was a violation of human rights. The debate intensified, and the guillotine, once a symbol of justice, became a controversial relic. Amid this changing landscape, the guillotine remained in use, albeit less frequently. Many French citizens were torn. Some viewed it as an essential part of the judicial system, while others condemned it as a barbaric practice. This tension would culminate in the final act of the guillotine. The final execution by guillotine occurred on September 10, 1977, at the Baumettes prison in Marseille. The man sentenced to death was Hamida Jandoubi, a Tunisian immigrant convicted of the murder of his girlfriend, a crime that shocked the nation. The details of Jandoubi's crime are both tragic and horrifying. He was found guilty of kidnapping, torturing, and ultimately killing his girlfriend. The brutality of the case captured the media's attention, putting immense pressure on the judicial system. Although the crime was egregious, the methods of execution were becoming increasingly scrutinized. On the day of the execution, thousands of anti-death penalty activists gathered outside the prison. The atmosphere was charged with tension and emotion, as many were there to protest what they viewed as a violation of human rights. Despite the protests, the execution proceeded. Jandoubi was led to the guillotine, which had been a symbol of death for nearly 2 centuries. The execution was carried out with the precision that had characterized the guillotine's history, yet it marked the end of an era. The aftermath of Jandoubi's execution sparked renewed debates about the death penalty in France. Just a few months later, in 1981, President François Mitterrand announced a moratorium on the death penalty, effectively putting an end to executions in the country. In 1981, the National Assembly voted overwhelmingly to abolish capital punishment altogether, marking a significant shift in French law and society. The guillotine, once a symbol of justice, was now seen as a relic of a darker past. This shift reflected a broader trend across Europe, where many countries were moving toward the abolition of the death penalty. France, which had once been a stronghold for executions, joined a growing list of nations rejecting capital punishment. Today, the guillotine remains a powerful symbol of justice and injustice. Its legacy is complex, embodying both the ideals of equality and the brutality of the state. While it has been out of use for decades, discussions about the death penalty continue around the world. Many view the guillotine as a cautionary tale about the potential for state power to overreach and the importance of safeguarding human rights. As we look back on this dark chapter of history, we must ask ourselves, what lessons can we learn from the guillotine's legacy? Various memorials and museums around France serve as reminders of the guillotine's place in history, encouraging reflection on our values and ethics. The discussions about justice, punishment, and human rights are as relevant today as they were in the past. The last execution by guillotine marks the end of an era, a moment that serves as both a conclusion and a beginning in the ongoing discourse around capital punishment. As we reflect on Hamida Jandoubi's tragic story and the historical implications of the guillotine, we invite you to share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about capital punishment? Should it ever be justified? Thank you for joining us today on History Facts channel. If you found this story compelling, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more intriguing history facts and stories. Until next time, stay curious.